Kris Bryant is a player who was marked up to $182 million, signed to a 7-year deal for the Colorado Rockies, and last year was very much a wash. We need to talk about him. We need to talk about what some of those expectations could be. Start off with the good news. He's had a great spring. 4 home runs. He's looked really solid.
I love a great spring. I hope that that's not the best thing we say about him this year because, last year was such a disappointment for everyone involved. He was upset. We were upset. And we needed that production from him.
Yes.
And I want to get that this year.
Yeah. 3 different stints on the injured list, 2 for the back, 1 for the plantar fasciitis that wiped out pretty much the entire second half of his season. Did hit 5 home runs, all on the road, as we know. Did have a 2 home run game. Kind of forget about that. In Arizona, hit over 300. I think he had like 341, I want to say, in July when he came back the first time with the back injury. So he's a guy that in April, watching him hit around Coors Field, which it's very hitter friendly, not just for the home run aspect of it, but just the fact that the outfield is so big. He can dunk those baseballs in. And I really think either 2023, this year or next year, Kris Bryant will win a batting title.
Oh, these are strong words.
I'm going bold prediction early on here in this player preview.
Hot takes in the player previews. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, he hit 306, in his limited action, which is good. It's pretty much one of the best seasons that he's had. I think actually might have been tops. Going back, I've said it numerous times. His profile and Michael Kadire is just really similar. Kadire, won that batting title. And I think Bryant is going to be up there. Let's not forget about his pedigree because that's the thing is I don't know that a ton of people have forgotten his pedigree because it's just disappointing how last year went. But there's still that potential in there. He's not very far removed from a 2021 season where he was an all-star. He did play in the postseason with San Francisco. Was one of the few guys that hit for them. Batted .471, was 8 for 17, walked once, so he had a 500 on base percentage. 647 slugging percentage, and this was against the Los Angeles Dodgers pitching staff. So, he did his best to really carry that club. He's only a year removed from that. So, to go in and say, well, the rookie of the year, that was a long time ago in 2015. The MVP, that was 2016.
Yeah, but he had a great 2021, and we forget so quickly.
Yeah, but he's still on that precipice. He still has, several good years left. And he's moving over to right field. That's another element to this. Charlie, we know he was pretty much the full-time DH last year, even though I think it only ended up being like 82 games officially as the DH. But Bryant's moving over to right field. And I was curious, do you think, we already got Mike Moustakas on the roster, Eligibility Montero, 24 years old. He's going to be there at third base. But when Rogers first went down and the conversation became, hey, McMahon's going to go over to second base, Bryant was asked about moving back to third base. No one had talked to him about it yet, but he also seemed ready for that challenge, if need be, to play a little third base. Do you think we might see him once? It might be an extreme situation, but do you think we're going to see him once at third base this season?
I think it would have to be an extreme situation. I think third base is in his past. I don't think we will.
So you will take the under on a half?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the over. I think we'll see him once. It might be 3 innings, but I'll take the over. The Rockies just don't have a lot of luck going for them right now. So like you said, extreme circumstances.
This is true.
This could be that season.
And we know the Rockies love when every guy can play every position.
It's true.
But, when we talked to him about it, he only seemed like he was talking about it because we asked him about it, It seemed like that was just not a conversation. He was like, yeah, I would if they needed me to. No one's asked me to, so.
I'm sort of curious that it could be laying the groundworks for him to come back to third base full time. Now, Montero, again, go check out the player preview series here on the DNVR Sports channel. His defense is still a question mark. If he can't stay at third base, you need a third baseman. Well, you already got one in Ryan McMahon. But are you keeping Brendan Rodgers? He only has 2 more years left before he's a free agent. So if you've got to get creative, you can say, well, we still do have Kris Bryant, who can play third base. It's been a while, but we feel confident enough in his athleticism to do that. It will just be interesting to see if any seeds are planted. I don't think one game is enough to say that, they're thinking like that. But I also don't think it's a bad idea to operate that way. I think it's thinking outside the box to say, you know what, we want to be able to be as flexible as possible with our roster. So you know what, play a couple games over at third base, and you might not ever play there again. But we could utilize that flexibility if McMahon becomes a full-time second baseman, they move on from Rogers or something else. You never know.
Interesting. I don't think we will. I want to do the hot take and say we're not going to see him at third.
The hot take is Rockies will not be creative.
I'm going to say, the Rockies will not be creative. They'll be creative in other ways, but
we hope to see his home run stroke back, obviously at Coors Field. Now, Kris Bryant needs 28 home runs for 200 on his career. Susie, do you think he hits 28 home runs this season? It's a good number, right?
I would love it if he did. That is like such a good number.
Does that feel a little high?
It feels a little high only because we only got 5 last year.
Yeah.
But he's been so hot this spring training.
Yeah.
Oof.
Almost as many in spring training as he did all of last year.
I think what's going to happen, I think we get no more than 20 home runs. So, that's much better than last year. I think we're going to, be just short of his milestone this year.
I'll say 25 for him, so I think he also comes up short. But again, I think we know enough about covering this team, and we know enough for the fans out there. We want to make you feel good and set you up for success. So if he does hit 25... okay, that was what we thought, essentially. But if he hits more, guess what? We get to feel good about it.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
Set the bar low, kids. That is the lesson.
You kind of have to do that just a little bit.